friends, so they're always having conversations when they're drunk.
Can you look at the camera?
I'm here too.
Welcome back to the Dr. Z Show.
So now I'm not allowed to say welcome.
Nope, not at all. You only end the show.
Yeah, Anthony.
I think it's kind of always been that way, though. Have you ever?
There's an episode, I think, where I've said it.
And an Anne of Green Gables episode.
But I did.
And I'm here too.
I did such a bad job, though.
Everyone loves that.
Pretty good.
Everyone I talk to is like, I love that Brenna is completely separated from the intro.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been scarier if we'd like photoshopped her in.
That's what I was just thinking about. Is like that'd be so weird. Like
would it be as weird as your family wearing your face greeting you at the airport? Because was weird.
That's always going to be weirder than most.
That's
things.
On brand for your family, but it was very bizarre.
Yeah.
For context, we when Jacob came back from his mission, myself, my wife, and a couple friends of ours went to the airport to like greet him along with like most of his family. And his family had brought a bunch of little cutouts of his face on like popsicle sticks that they were wearing like masks, and it was very bizarre.
Yeah,
it's up there in the top like 5 strangest things I've been involved with your family.
I thought of
specifically the Brissons. Okay.
Oh no, yeah, specifically with Jacob.
I was gonna say, like, if that's generally in your top 5, you need to do more weird shit, man.
No, I do a lot of weird shit. Like,
I was thinking like Silence of the Lambs style. Be very terrible.
What? Have you seen Silence of the Lambs?
No, but I just thought I
was like,
one,
what's
that
the
one
reference?
quote that's like it's like Clarice or whatever. He's like.
That's the fava beans and Chianti quote.
I'm mixing metaphors. So no.
A nice Chianti.
So do people just like?
Have you guys seen? They're making a television show.
Yes, for just
Silence of the
Clarice.
Lambs?
Yeah.
About her like after the whole like.
Yeah,
event.
and for some reason the call song is "Take Me Home," Country Roads.
Yeah,
Is it a creepy, slowed down version?
Yeah, of course it is.
It was so weird. I was like, "What on earth is happening?"
And then like in the background, just
is it gonna
other
be...
things.
Yeah.
Well,
and,
I was like, is it gonna be about
drama.
her life before the FBI?
Nope.
And it's definitely not. So, well, like, okay, so,
It
like, spoiler alert, Jacob.
Hannibal.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. It's after Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
all
her
of
first,
the plot,
like
but
Okay, so in Silence of the Lambs, Clarice, like, there's this guy who's like skinning women to like make like a woman's suit or whatever, and they call him Buffalo Bill, like he's whatever. And so
when
Clarice,
did the lambs come in?
I'll get there. So Clarice is like this FBI like trainee person. She's not an agent yet. Like she hasn't like graduated or whatever yet. She's not an FBI agent, but she's like in the training program.
She's a rookie.
And so like the Buffalo Bill thing is like bad. He's like caught like 4 women and like killed them and skinned them or whatever. And so it's like it's bad. And then some like senator's daughter is like gets taken, and they think it's like typical.
I have a very particular set of bills.
Jacob, focus. You asked questions.
I can't. I'm sorry.
So like then it's a big deal. Like, oh no, like and they think that it's Buffalo Bill because like it's, you know, classic, like whatever his style and like where he's like been taking women or whatever. Point. So they like think it's him. So they're like, Clarice, like despite the vast resources of the entire Department of Justice, like you're gonna go interview this dude, Hannibal Lecter. And so like he's like this notorious, like he eats people, like he's scary, like so they think like Buffalo Bill is like trying to copycat him, and so she like goes and like has to interview him, but he's like not cooperating, and so then it becomes like a back and forth between her and Dr. Lecter about like he tells her something that's like a clue or whatever, or that will help her like catch Buffalo Bill, and then she has to tell him something about her life, or whatever, because he's like in prison and he's like been in prison like forever.
He's not just in prison; he is like in a straitjacket with,
with
a face mask.
The fun
Because-
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
No, but he's like that in most of the movie.
That's how he's transported. That's when they're moving him.
Ah.
So anyway, so he
I guess. Oh yeah.
like,
Okay.
so he like starts cooperating more. He's like, yeah, because he's in the movie and in the beginning of the movie, in the first like half of it, he's like in a cell with just like a
Yes.
window. Like he can't see outside.
And
like
a
he
big
can't
Does
like
she have a
glass,
microscope?
No.
Jacob. focus. So, she's like,
Sure.
oh, if you cooperate, we'll like, there'll be like lighter security and like you'll get to go outside sometimes, but like you can't be like around people or whatever because you're dangerous and you eat them and whatever.
Yeah.
So like he starts cooperating and like he starts learning about her, and the lambs thing is about like she grew up on a farm and like they had to like kill the people that owned the farm, like killed a lamb at some point or whatever, and it made this like horrible noise that like still haunts her, and so she like tried to steal, she like took one of the lambs with her and like ran away, but like couldn't carry the lamb anymore, like because he was like, it became so heavy for her as like a child, and so like that still like haunts her to this day or whatever. And then like Lecter is like, the movie goes on, whatever, she catches Buffalo Bill and like shoots him a bunch of times, and like, and Dr. Lecter escapes, like he's taken to this like lighter security facility, which is like his plan all along or whatever, and he escapes. And he calls Clarice and he's like, oh, I'm gonna, like, this dude who's like some psychologist who tried to like analyze me all these years ago, like I'm gonna eat him. And she's like, oh no, and like then the movie ends.
Fun. Also,
So
the
I'm
sound.
wondering in the let me get there, Jacob. Just let me finish. I'm almost done. Promise. So I'm in the show. Like, there's gonna be a point where they're gonna have to bring back Hannibal
Yeah.
Lecter. Like he's gonna have to
Lecter.
appear in some season of the show.
I cannot remember that actor's name. It's Anthony something,
Anthony
right?
Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
Okay.
Yeah. Or
We have like a
or Matt
convention
Nicholson.
where everyone named Anthony like gets together, and
Oh yeah.
now I know.
And you just have your last name on the name tags.
Yeah, the
Yeah, because everyone's first name is Anthony.
Right. I will say, do you remember Buffalo Bill's motive in the movie? Because I did not remember his motive
He
until
was
I'm
trying to
now
make
thinking
like a
it.
suit made out
He
of
wanted to
women.
be a pretty
No, but
lady.
why?
To be a pretty lady.
Why? Because he was a fucking psychopath. Like that's
No,
why.
he wanted
Like,
to wear
Because he was rejected a sex change operation, which is
Mhm.
questionable in
No, I
the
didn't know that. I don't remember that.
morality.
I don't remember that like super minute detail of the movie. That
She phones Crawford and reveals Buffalo Bill is making a women's suit out of real women. Crawford is already en route to make the arrest, having cross-referenced Lecter's notes of the hospital's archives from Buffalo Bill as Gum. This is less James Gum, which is dumb.
yeah, and then they like go in to catch him, and he's like somewhere completely different, and
Yeah.
like she ends up
And he has the name
Clarice
Jack
ends up
Gordon
at,
now. Yeah.
yeah, Clarice ends up at some like this house, and like the entire FBI like is moving in on this other house where they think he is, and he's not there. So Clarice has to like
Wow.
face him down like by herself.
Yeah, he introduces himself as Jack Gordon instead of James Gum.
Mhm.
So,
And then she like
and-
goes into the house with him or whatever and notices like, things are
Okay.
off.
Well, so he smuggled dead head moths into the U.S. and was refused a sex change operation, believing himself to be, and this is still on the Wikipedia page, transsexual. which is not the term most people use anymore. Starling then continues interviewing Frederica's friends, who suggests she speak with Mrs. Lipman.
I
what
think
that has to do with anything.
it would have been better if he
That was the first
making-
woman that he took.
Oh, okay.
They realized that was how they found him, was he knew the first one that he took. He didn't know like any of these other women.
What if he was making a women's pantsuit out of like high-end fashion things? Like he was stealing and cutting up like things from the new fashion lines. Just like tiny bits. That's
It's a little
women's-
different.
Are you okay? Like that's very different. That's not a little different. That's very different.
It's very
the
different.
only woman, or the only word that was the same in both of those things was woman.
And
Oh
suit.
man,
And soup.
Ted Levine played Buffalo Bill. I forgot about that.
It rubs the lotion on its skin.
Yeah, which is a line from.
The other thing I was thinking is that the horrible noise that haunts Clarice is the the lamb, like with its dying breath, saying like Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
That I'm okay with.
She's just like it's burned in there.
Okay. So that's new and happening, and no one knows why. Well, I mean, we all know why. It's because of money.
Yeah.
But also because of
It's
money.
because CBS got the rights. Yeah, I mean.
True. Also because of money. CD Projekt Red got hacked, which is apparently ironic.
It would have been more ironic if it was like only games about hacking had been stolen from them, but it was not.
And so what's as of recording right now, what's up for the bid? The
Currently,
Gwent source code?
Gwent
you said?
source code is up for, which is earlier than they said it would be up.
Yeah, so they said that they were going to release The Witcher,
only been
Gwent,
36
and
hours.
Cyberpunk's... The Witcher 3, rather. Gwent and Cyberpunk's source code, because those were the things that were confirmed as stolen.
Well, and there were possibly some other people affected with like personal files, but no consumer personal files were taken.
Yeah, it was company files.
Company personal files were taken.
So to get ahead of it, they just decided to release it. Because
No.
you said they were going to release something.
They're
that they were
talking.
releasing
They're
the source.
They
genuinely
made
talking
there was a
about
press
it.
release from
Oh,
CD
okay.
Projekt
That makes more sense.
CD Projekt Red,
Yeah,
and they were
I
like,
thought they
"Yes,
were just-
we've been hacked. Like this is what happened."
Yeah.
Yeah, I just know that sometimes when like people's proprietary information is stolen, instead of allowing the people who stole it to make money off of it, they're just like, they go one step further and they're like, well, we're just gonna make it free for everyone, so
I
that
also
like
really hate the like ransom note that the hacker left. It starts
It's so
off,
poorly worded.
It
Oh
starts
my
off,
God. Yeah,
you
please
have
read it.
your have been epically pwned.
your have been.
We have dumped full copies of the source codes from your Perforce server for Cyberpunk 2077, Witcher 3, Gwent, and the unreleased version of Witcher 3. 3 exclamation points. We have also dumped all of your documents relating to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more. Also, we have encrypted all of your servers, but we understand that you can most likely recover from backups. If we will not come to an agreement, then your source codes will be sold or leaked online, and your documents will be sent to our contacts in gaming journalism. Your public image will go down the shitter, even more, and people will see how you shitty your company functions. See how you shitty your company functions.
It seems like it was written by a 12-year-old. Like
I think it was written by someone who is learning English.
Yeah, but they're learning English.
There was some weird like translation issues with their press release as well. That's like it seems strange, the grammar in it, but like
It's like they're learning English in the UK. From just from their use of like toilet.
Yeah.
Like that's, I don't know of anyone in the US who calls it that. Like,
yeah, there were some like people have been picking it apart like online or whatever, just speculating like who it is, and it's I think the vast majority of people assume it's whoever hacked them like is based in the UK or lived there at one time.
So can I
But
eat
they don't.
turtle ice cream?
There's been no like. It's just being sold somewhere. Like there's no like information on who's behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was put up here. I have the article. VX Underground. The source quote. Yeah. CD Projekt ransomed data has been leaked online. This is the source code for Gwent, according to VX Underground. It began the auction on the exploit forums at a starting bid of $1,000.
But that's what happened. So we will bring you more information as it develops, or you can look it up online yourself.
Yeah, it'll probably
which will
much faster.
Yeah, that will be much faster, but
Almost for sure. But hey, you never know. So, Jacob, what are we eating today? And by we, I mean you.
okay.
By eating, I mean Tori.
After my initial the very first experience with reviewing food on the show was with dragon magic pudding, and I don't think I didn't have the unicorn kind, but around that time when I started noticing more novelty snacks, like unicorn and mermaid themed snacks have just been like everywhere.
They're
at
all
least
rage.
on the grocery store shelves. So this time I am eating knockoff Dippin' Dots Itty
Dippin'
Bits.
Dots.
Itty Bits Unicorn Swirl. It isn't just Unicorn Swirl. It does say that it's cherry and artificially flavored vanilla ice cream. So it makes it sound like it's like the cherry's natural.
Cherries
but
are
we had to
all
get
natural,
artificial
baby.
Vanilla, way too expensive, guys.
No.
Vanilla is very expensive, though. Vanilla extract is.
Yeah.
That's
Extract.
They're like the owner.
Don't throw real beans in there. This
They're
is
like the
beans.
owner has a cherry tree. Like that's how we get the real cherry flavor in our Itty Bits.
I've also never heard of Itty Bits.
Oh
yeah.
This is the first I've seen it.
Hold on. You know what?
Maybe I've seen it before.
But
I'm noticing.
It looks like unicorns.
I'm noticing more things in grocery stores after discovering the existence of Go-Gurt and it being a real thing.
You didn't know Go-Gurt was real?
Did I not talk about that on the show?
No.
Did I not bring this up?
Go-Gurt has been around for years.
Apparently, like, did I only talk to you about this, Jacob?
Well, I mean, Abby was there too, but
I have Go-Gurt
sort
in
of.
my freezer right now.
Okay, no, okay. So here's what happened. Well, actually, Jacob, we'll do that first, and then I'll explain what happened. I feel like I'm already talking too much, but I'll explain this.
How is it? Is it just...
He's not making the face.
Yeah, is it just freeze-dried ice cream?
What is the actual flavor? Like, can you taste the cherry?
it tastes like a little bit like medicine. But my mental image that I had when I like took my first bite was like a sad clown making vanilla. Like it tastes like
a sad clown making vanilla.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it made me think of a sad clown when I tasted it.
It's very specific.
Once again, and like so I'm not a picky eater, but the thing that has been the weirdest on a lot of these that I've reviewed, most off the show, is it's just like a texture. It's kind of like a texture problem. Like the texture doesn't match the flavor, and because I was waiting to review this, and I didn't have it like fresh out of the freezer. You know, I was like letting it thaw just a little bit. But that was a mistake because it tastes like very bad melted, because it's like slimy, like.
But
You know,
Dippin' Dots. I mean, no, Dippin' Dots aren't that slimy when they're definitely like softened ice cream.
Yeah, it's like whatever they have in there to make it into the little spheres to like keep those like with a distinct shape. Whatever coagulant they have.
We can find out though, because guess what I just found during my Google search, and I shared it in the chat. I found Myers Ice Cream, the website and owner.
Not sponsored.
Itty Bits. Not sponsored. Don't want you.
And it's not Briars.
No, it's Myers.
M-I-E-R. Is it apostrophe S or is it
yes,
S?
It is. Yes,
apostrophe
it is.
S.
Their tagline, Myers Ice Cream. We're so cool. Itty Bits pelletized ice cream. What is Itty Bits? Itty Bits is an exciting new pelletized ice cream product available right now. Itty Bits is real ice cream delivered in a fast, fun, and family-friendly form. Itty Bits comes in a...
Is other ice cream not
like
family-friendly? Like...
Ooh,
this is like
the texture's got some tapioca. Yeah, okay.
Yuck.
Itty Bits comes in a wide variety of ice cream
imitation vanilla
that are sure to be popular.
It's like boxed tapioca.
Hey, it's kosher. Well, hi.
And the thing is, I like tapioca, but this gets I'm gonna give this 2.5.
Okay.
Why?
So the Cheetos ranks higher.
Yeah,
Cheetos mac and cheese ranks higher.
But this is still above the dragon pudding, right?
Oh, like way above.
He had to throw away the dragon pudding.
Yeah, I had like 2 bites of it, and then I threw all of it away.
So Itty Bits is unique from other pelletized ice cream products because you can serve, store, and ship it just like regular ice cream. While other products require special handling and freezing at negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, Itty Bits forms just like regular. That's how the website has it. So I know it's a typo and I could just say performs, but no, this is a corporate fucking website and they didn't goddamn spell check it. Forms just like regular ice cream at conventional ice cream handling temperatures of up to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Let Itty Bits add fun and excitement to your sales mix. Itty Bits is easy to handle and a powerful partner to include in your counter sales mix. Drive higher impulse sales while moving more customers through your lines faster. Why Itty Bits versus the other guys?
Okay, this just sounds like the worst commercial ever. I'm going to stop you before we keep going.
Do we want to talk about the flavors? Can I just talk about the flavors? Because they're all so normal.
Go ahead.
I don't... What flavor did you have?
I had unicorn swirl.
That's not on this website.
More like unicorn hurl.
I got vanilla strawberry Neapolitan. I've got vanilla strawberry Neapolitan mint chip cotton candy cookies and cream banana split caramel and fudge cookie dough strawberry cheesecake and then larger gallon.
Banana split's probably good. Like
caramel and fudge sounds interesting.
But I think it's
those all just sound like regular ice cream flavors though.
Yeah. My guess for why the texture is so off on this is it has carob bean gum and cellulose gum. And I imagine that those are the thickening agents that made it slimy.
I think it's the kosher aspect of it that might be actually playing against it like against its favor in some ways. Because a lot of like gumming agents are gelatin based, and in order for it to be gelatin based, you have to have it non-kosher. You have to have it with a little bit of bone marrow in it.
This is just lurking outside the door.
For density.
Tasty.
Things you don't think about, like.
I don't. I just eat food that is tasty.
It's got an 8-month shelf life.
Oh no.
What?
It's got an 8-month shelf life.
Huh. That's a really long time. That's an uncomfortably long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay. So
yeah,
speaking of things Jacob should never say ever again. you have to talk about the Dark Souls pun that you made, because now this is a thing. Now that Jacob is like on the Dark Souls train, like finally, like way later than most other normal human beings. He calls me and we play Dark Souls together.
Well, we haven't played yet. We've
Well, like we are
we've
playing
played Dark Souls
the game at
separately
the same
while
time.
while calling each other.
But anyway, point. So I'm doing my New Game Plus Ornstein and Smo boss fight and Dark Souls Remastered.
Yeah, so for those of you who have not played Dark Souls, which was me not too long ago,
It's me.
And Brenna.
yeah. So for
I
Brent-
did
Just
defeat the opening boss, and it only took me 4 deaths
nice, good job.
after never touching the game. So I'm
Okay.
a little proud of that. Also,
Are
knowing
you playing it now, or like
Nah, I don't
that
know.
was like
I have bad
a time.
associations with Dark Souls, if I'm being honest. I have a friend who's really into it, but like other associations just make me not want to play it. Thanks for ruining things for me.
Whoa,
Just
Sorry?
generally
something
to the world.
happened.
To the world.
Oh, okay, I was like,
Something happened.
what?
No one in particular who's watching this.
Someone in particular who's not watching this.
Correct.
Okay, well it's
I'm
not
not
me
taking
because you know
somewhere I
I
was
watched
going
the
with
show back.
Oh, you're also
Okay.
participating in the conversation. Anyway.
Okay, so anyways, Dark Souls. There's bosses. I think it's a great game. There, a lot of people think it's a great
No,
game.
I think it's a great game. I just,
Yeah.
Bad
Someone
Point.
in
feelings.
particular not watching this.
Yeah.
So,
Point.
Ornstein and Smo are bosses that you fight together.
Are
They're
they the big dude and the little one on his back?
no. It's like little. They're buddies. But there's a giant.
You fight both of them you fight 2 of them at the same time. That's it's
No, I know
it's
that.
the first like
Yeah.
real like huge like major, like all the bosses up to that point are like ooh like oh no, but this is like a lot of people like quit playing around this fight because it's so difficult the first time. Like if you're playing Dark Souls for the first time, like it's the one thing that like makes people like stop playing, because it's very difficult to pay attention to both of them at the same time, while they're beating you around the room.
Yeah, I beat it pretty quickly, but
Yeah,
that's-
but you were also like wickedly over leveled.
yeah, I like to explore, and so I had just been like going
Yeah, it's
everywhere,
the-
and I
yes,
was super over leveled.
It's the big guy, and his,
No one's on his back. Like,
Yeah,
what do you
he's not
want?
riding
It's on
that.
his back. It's on his back. I had the right image in my brain. Oh yes. So this, wow, God, that's a large lad. So the image I had, I had that image in my head when I was thinking about it, because that's like
You want
the
to screen share it?
I see.
I sent an image link so you can just kind of pop it.
Got it. Okay, so
Yeah. Okay.
they're
Yeah, they don't
the golden
ride
boys.
each other.
I know, but in that image, it kind of looks like he's like
Yeah,
on top
okay.
of.
Kind of, yeah.
So one of them's really big and has a big hammer, and
Big
the other
as
is
in,
really
like,
yeah,
Rotund.
Rotund, yes.
and tall.
He is round.
I mean, he large.
all the bosses are
He's large.
He's large in all categories. But then so that's Smo, and then Ornstein is the little guy who is really fast and he's got a spear and he does
He has lightning
like,
powers.
lightning powers. So regardless of, and if you kill one, the other one gets the powers of the other dude. So if you kill Ornstein, Smo gets his
Lightning powers. And if you kill Smo,
Yes.
Ornstein becomes twice his size and gets some of his attacks.
Yeah, but the thing is, so Anthony was in that fight and we were talking, and Smo, being the large man that he is, I was like, he's large and in charge, because of lightning. And everyone was just like, no.
Jacob, that's stupid. I'd support it, but it's stupid, and I just.
But he also has a charge attack where he like charges at you with his hammer. So
This is.
That, I think that's what sparked it, is because he kept doing that attack, and I was like,
That's what sparked
I
it,
was
you
like,
say.
can't get away.
It's a closed circuit here.
anyway, that's what gave me the thought. That gave Jacob the thought, is because he
The
kept
light bulb went off.
he kept doing his charge attack, and I was talking to Jacob on the phone while I was in this fight, and I was like, no, stop doing your charge attack. And so, like, I think that's what... I don't know, is that what gave you the idea, or are
Yep.
you just horrible?
I'm just
When
horrible.
you're clever and witty, these things just like hit you like a
Ton of bricks.
ton of bricks.
Like a smell.
Like they just charge at you.
Yes.
And you're just not used to that.
Why do you hurt me in this way?
Because it's really fun.
It's it's not the volts, it's the jokes that will kill you.
Anyway, none of these things are what we're here to talk about, Jacob.
At all. We just
Love-
wasted 15 minutes of your time.
No, we've been recording for 31 minutes at this point.
Are you
Really?
Really?
God. The longest 31 minutes.
But the question is, are you amped to fight them again? Okay, that's the last one. I have more, but I'm not gonna say
I
that.
know. I feel like we could do this all day if we tried hard enough.
Yeah.
And just like make Anthony suffer.
Yeah, we should stop. Oh man, we just keep going.
Well,
I
we
just had
were.
okay, wait, no, I just had a
Oh,
mental
okay.
image of like, so his name is Smo, but then just with like weird electricity stuff, I was like Smomes, and I imagined him as like the
I-
ohm symbol.
Yeah, I got that. That one's a bit
It's
of
not
a
a-
stretch, but
Yeah, it's not a
I'm
good
okay
joke.
with it. No, it's not a good joke. As long as
But
we
you
all
guys
agree-
can, I mean, you guys can and are you just keep going and going and going.
Like the Energizer.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's the joke, Jacob. Thanks for explaining it for everyone who was not aware.
Hey, we sometimes you're listening to a podcast while you're doing dishes and you hear every other word instead of every word, and you need someone to explain the good joke that was just told.
That's very specific.
Oh yeah, it happens. I listen to stuff while I'm doing dishes all the time, and like when I turn on the water, like to rinse stuff off, I can't hear anything, and then when I turn it off, I hear the next few words.
Why wouldn't? Never mind. Okay. Anyway, what are we here to talk about?
So
I mean, animation. I thought
Animation in general.
generalized
Not-
animation.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about specific, like, oh, you should watch this anime, but definitely watch Cowboy Bebop.
go
I mean-
let's save some keyframes.
Animu.
And we've talked about like different shows on
Yeah.
the show before. Like we talked about Avatar, and we've talked about some anime. There's been a discussion about Gundam briefly
Gundam.
at some point.
Cowboy Bebop.
We've brought up Yu Yu Hakusho and Cowboy Bebop and Naruto. I think has been brought up several times. But this is
Dragon
not-
Ball. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about Dragon Ball before, but this is
Mostly we meme on Dragon Ball.
this is true. But we're not going to talk about like any specific, not specific like Japanese animation or like this kind of animation or like whatever. Like we're going to talk about anime or animation like in general,
Yeah.
and we'll all leave our recommendations for you to enjoy, if you will,
Or not enjoy.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
not
just
enjoy,
hate it.
We want you to watch it, and we want you to feel bad.
No.
That's our goal.
No.
What?
So wait, let's just start with like, what is your first earliest memory of like watching an animation, like an animated piece
okay.
of content,
Oh, any animated piece of content?
like any animated piece of content?
The earliest and most visceral memory I have is from Neon Genesis Evangelion,
Yes, we've talked
when
about this.
I'm the
You
youngest.
and I have had this discussion.
Yeah, I'm the youngest in my family, and so my older siblings,
I have a
like, when
bajillion.
they were in high school, like my
There's
brother,
only
his friends,
7.
yeah, 6 siblings, 7 children. My brother had friends that got him into anime, and so he was
Terrible
watching
friends.
it. Yeah, he was watching it at home. Yeah, got like the rest of our siblings.
Don't act like you don't like anime, Brenna.
I don't really like anime.
Um,
We've
so-
talked about this on the show.
Yeah, but you're like, oh, this, like, what? Like, let people like things.
No, that's fine. It's just continue with your story.
Well,
have
I mean-
opinions on anime.
You'd probably have better opinions if you hadn't watched How to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon.
No, I don't think I would.
You just have to avoid. You just have to avoid the bad stuff, and it's
But
great.
there's so much bad stuff.
Yeah, but there's
Just ignore it.
No, she's right. There is a lot
You
of
can
like,
tell what kind of
garbage.
show it's gonna be in like the first 2 or 3 episodes, and then
Yeah, but
you
like
know,
by the
or
fourth,
if certain
Can
friends,
you though, like,
yes,
I like.
if certain
it's
friends
not-
recommend
okay.
it as well, you know,
Hold
like
on.
I can't trust this
Jacob,
friend.
oh yeah,
I need you to, Jacob, I need you to put a pin in your story really quickly because I feel like the reason why I don't like anime is a little bit mixed up. Yes.
There we go.
Okay, I'm on a soapbox. Yes, I don't like a lot of the garbage anime, how it portrays so many things.
It's the tits, isn't
So
it?
many. It's not just the tits. It's the tit.
Yeah,
it's the traps.
exactly.
It's the assault. It's the infantilization. But on top of that, what really fucking kills it for me is the fan base. Are the people who stan it. The otaku garbage weebs who make me feel bad for not being one of them. The otaku fucking weebs who insist that their waifu must be perfect and that if you have an opinion that's anything against, like, aha, my waifu is the best, you're garbage. And, like, don't get me wrong. I have friends who like anime who are not trash. They watch My Hero Academia, they watch the good stuff, and that's great. But I've known too many people who've made me feel like garbage for not watching anime, not enjoying anime, and not even, like, humoring
Just
them when
like
they tell me to
Japanese
watch Fairy Tail.
anime, or like just like Japanese anime, or have you encountered people like this for Western anime as well?
I have encountered people like this for Western anime.
Okay,
Like,
I'm just curious.
I mentioned that I never wanted to watch One Piece or never wanted to watch Naruto, and I had some people some garbage people who I've cut out of my magic group, like they were like, oh well, you're just being judgmental. It's like, no, I don't want to watch 800 episodes of nothing.
I mean, you're also allowed to be judgmental of how you spend your own time
Exactly.
to do
Like,
things. Like,
don't get me wrong.
that's
One of my really good friends,
your prerogative.
yeah, one of my really good friends, Malik, is watching One Piece, has seen hundreds of episodes of One Piece, and I'm really proud of him for watching hundreds of episodes of One Piece. But he is really passionate about animation, and he loves animation. He has a YouTube channel too, Comic Night Zero. If you like animation reviews, he's very entertaining. So like,
We
you
can
know,
link to him.
boys
in the
support
description
boys.
of the
Yeah,
video.
boys supporting boys. But like, he's watched a lot of anime, but whenever I'm like, yo, dude, that's cool, but never, he's always like, great, fucking live your life. Off my soapbox, continue with your story about Neon and Gelatin. Also, quickly, I went to watch.
Neon Gelatin.
Well, that's basically what the ending of the show is it not? Anyway. Anyway, also I went to
I
watch-
love this, and I love what's gonna be the reaction from this. Is like all the people that have seen Neon Genesis Evangelion are probably gonna be like laughing their ass off, and anyone who hasn't is gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
I haven't seen it. I just know the ending because my friend was like, "Can I rant to you about the ending?" Because she was so into the show, and then watched the last episode and was like, "I need to talk to someone about this." And I just happened to be the person at work that day, and I
No,
was
it's
like,
supernatural for you.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
but she didn't skip 5.5 seasons. But no, the biggest thing that like to this day that like bugs me and like rubs me the wrong way is like some of my like friends who I do consider my friends, like they were watching Berserk and they wanted to watch the last episode of Berserk, and I wanted to hang out with them that day, and they wanted me to hang out with them that day, and then they were like, cool, we're gonna watch the last episode of Berserk. And then we can continue to hang out afterwards, but we don't think you should watch it because I want to show you Berserk one day, but so you're not allowed to see the ending. I was like, cool.
That's dumb.
Yeah. No, I sat and I watched. Guess what the ending of Berserk is? The worst.
Neon Gelatin?
Worse. Tentacle rape is honestly how that ends. And there's more to it. There's a lot more to
The
it.
big yikes.
It's the worst thing to like enter in on, and I get why they didn't want me to see the ending, but I also
Never
don't
mind.
know if I would have wanted to watch the show if that was the ending.
I would have put that sentence a different way, but
What? Which
that wasn't the place you wanted to enter in
Oh.
on.
Well, it's not the place I wanted to enter in on ever. Just generally. Like, I have vivid images of watching that, and it's not good. So that's why I don't like anime.
And that's your choice.
And that's my choice.
Like-
and like I don't judge people who watch anime. I judge people who talk about anime in a certain way.
So
And who watch certain animes.
so the question is,
lead to a negative impact.
like, do you not want to, because like you expect to engage with other people who like things that you like? So like, you know, there's probably like stuff that you'd enjoy, but do you feel like it's a barrier to entry that you just, because the thing is, I just don't talk to anyone. Like I like things, and then I don't talk to anyone.
That's something I've
very
noticed is
social
like
person.
if you are someone who watches anime and consumes like a lot of anime on a regular basis, you like, as a smart person, you don't talk to other people about anime, because then you find the worst parts of people,
but
like Brenna was just describing.
Right. But I love talking with people about things that they care about. I love
That's why we're
enjoying.
here.
Right, that's why we're here. That's why I got brought onto the podcast, because I like talking about things that we're passionate about. And I love animation. I really do. I always have my entire life. So in theory, anime should be a thing that I should enjoy. And don't get me wrong, Cowboy Bebop is one of the best written shows of all time. I genuinely believe that. I think Avatar: The Last Airbender, even though it's Western anime, still counts as an incredibly written show.
That's up for debate. We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. I shared my opinion earlier, but I'll reiterate it for the people out there. But basically, and my friends, like a lot of my friends here, they watch anime together and they enjoy it and like talk about it intelligently and have fun.
But you've engaged with so many people that don't.
But I think I've been burned. I've been burned too many times by people who don't watch this podcast.
I mean, this is like the sort of gatekeeping episode that we had earlier, where like you don't like it's like that with anything. I feel like anime is one of those things that's like especially like up there in terms of like having a toxic community overall.
Well, and that goes back into like terrible otaku culture as well. Like, I feel like that's a much larger conversation that I don't think we're qualified to necessarily have.
Oh no, like I'm also just absolutely not prepared to have that conversation, because I will burn a lot of people for that, because holy crap.
Yeah.
But
and Brandon's like I went to Japan, had a great time, but
no,
like so did I, but is that related? Like,
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to go to Japan, just like, oh, sounds fun, if I wasn't like, yay, anime. So, like, if I hadn't grown up watching anime, I wouldn't want to go to Japan, one, and two, I wouldn't be like as excited or like kind of I was just kind of in awe at like how many animes that I had watched like accurately portrayed just apartment
Japanese
buildings.
culture.
Like,
Oh well, yeah. No.
yeah, because like I went over there and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is just like the apartments that all the kids in Digimon lived in. Like,
Well, and that's also like, I mean, I could go in a whole history about the beautiful reconstruction Japan had to do after it was bombed so horribly. There's a really interesting history of like in the 50s Japan rebuilding and like embracing like brutalism and that whole architectural movement, but also giving it a Japanese twist because they had less access to things like concrete. They had access to concrete and obviously used it for the foundations, but with how they had been doing, I could go off on a whole
You
thing.
know a lot about a lot of things that you and I have just never talked about.
Okay,
You said that and I was like, what?
I don't just jokingly say I am a font of useless knowledge. I really am a font of useless knowledge.
No, like
that's
I didn't
that's
say
like
that,
Abby.
but,
No,
like,
it just comes out like yeah, like I don't know. I get interested in things, and Japanese architecture was one of those things that like Lewis and I talked about a lot when he was over in Japan.
Abby, I need you. What's like? Brenna just called herself a font of useless knowledge. What do you call yourself?
that's a weird transition.
Ah, okay. She quotes Adventure Time and says she has an approximate knowledge.
An approximate knowledge of many things. Yeah,
I
I use
also
that quote
have-
all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I have
So,
that approximate.
let's get back to gelatin.
Let's get back to animation.
Yeah. Back to gelatin.
Neon gelatin.
Oh,
Yeah, neon gelatin.
Evangelius. Something.
Yeah. Oh God.
Neon gelatin, you jelly bro.
Okay, so anyway, so Jacob's first introduction to anime.
Yeah, my brother got into anime.
Or animation.
Got family into anime sort of as well. Like some of us have stuck on it more, but there's a few anime that like I think, with the exception of me, most of my family has finished Cowboy Bebop, and Escaflowne or the other.
Let's finish Cowboy Bebop.
I don't know, man.
It's so,
So,
good.
One
Even
of my
Brenna likes it.
earliest,
She doesn't like anime.
one of my earliest.
That's gonna be
memories-
that's gonna be my thing now.
One thing that I would do is like I would I also watched like a lot of Rurouni Kenshin kind of that way, but
Rurouni Kenshin is fantastic.
most of it was like, you know, PG-13 plus like for content. And so my trick that I would do is I would fall asleep on the couch and know that I would not be disturbed. And so I would just like put a blanket over my head, fall asleep, and then I would just like peek out from underneath to watch anime. And one of the things that like scarred me with was
It's your own fault, though.
yeah, in Neon Genesis Evangelion, there's a part where like it's giant robots. One of the giant robots like goes crazy, like, and affects the pilot, and it starts eating like this alien that has like come to, you know, destroy Earth. And it's like really bloody, and you see like this like kind of crazy unhinged jaw of this giant mech, like just like
It's super. It's gruesome.
yeah, very visceral, and that is just burned into my consciousness. It will never go away. And so that's like my first memory, but there's also a lot more fun memories with, you know, like Spider-Man the animated series and things like that.
I mean,
We're just
yeah,
like throwing it back to last episode.
I know. For me, I watched a lot of like, obviously like animated children's television. Like those are some of my earliest memories with animation, like Roly Poly Oly.
Yeah,
Which
you're
is-
like, what's your first introduction to animation? Jacob's like, I remember this part in Neon Genesis Evangelion.
No,
Like,
but like
what?
if it's that ingrained into you, it totally makes sense to me. Yeah,
No,
for me, it's just like thinking about Roly Poly Oly and like kid shows.
My first
Arthur?
animation period
Arthur,
experience, like,
Caillou.
was... Oh, Caillou.
Oh my God!
We cannot get on the Caillou thing.
Baloney
No.
head.
No,
Did I tell
we
you?
cannot get on the Caillou tangent.
Did I tell you about the one shot my friends and I ran?
Was it a Caillou one shot?
Okay.
How is this? Okay, we can't get on the Caillou thing, but I have to know how Dungeons and Dragons one shot is related to Caillou.
So on my friend Nick's bucket list, one of the things was play D&D all night. So
Oh no.
6
Okay.
of us all got together and we built
Don't
a
like where
so
this is going.
we combined a couple of his like bucket list items. We also built a massive pillow fort. He had never built a pillow fort before. So we built
Is
a
he
big
like gonna die soon? I feel like we
No,
talk about Nick's.
he-
I don't even know who Nick is, but we talk about his bucket list a lot on
He
the
has
show.
a
You've
lot
brought
of
it up
things.
many times.
he has a lot of things about his bucket list. Like he just has a really long bucket list. He just bought his van. So that's good for him. But yeah, so we built a blanket fort and then we played D&D all night and we rotated dungeon masters. So we all created like characters in 5e and then we rotated through dungeon mastering. Basically, a
Can we get
giant.
to the Caillou part? Like what?
So we started having a kaiju battle. Now,
Kaiju.
my friend's
Different.
brain heard Caillou battle.
Oh
And
no.
we had, and this is halfway through the night, we started having like a weird kaiju battle.
For context, kaiju is like a term for like giant alien monsters, like
yeah.
Godzilla
Yeah, it's
or Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim kaijus, yes. So, and something we could do is each of us got 2 sheets of paper that at any moment we could hand to the person who is DMing, and then they had to put that in the story.
Oh no.
And my friend, he had 2 contributions to the night. The first one is absolutely not YouTube safe, and the second one was incorporating Caillou. So the end boss was Caillou.
Like
And
as a
like,
child or adult Caillou?
As a big baby. He was a baby tyrant.
So it was just the end of Half-Life.
Yeah, and his parents were like giant ghost, like paladin knights that were like.
Okay, so it's 100% the end of Half-Life.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay,
kind of.
got it.
Yeah, like we meet a skeleton dog. We meet like it was insane.
Okay, real
Anyway.
quick tangent from that before we get into Anthony's memories of childhood and first like impressions and experiences with animation.
Yeah, I was like,
saw-
get to the animation part, please.
Yeah, so I saw a post about like the Paw Patrol being called in to fight Godzilla and how like their ace in the hole is Clifford the Big Red Dog being like expelled from the Paw Patrol for being too big.
Oh my god. I mean, look, we don't support Paw Patrol on this show though. Or I don't
Yeah.
support Paw Patrol.
Propaganda.
Propaganda. ACAP. There's also only one female character and they never listen to her. Even though she's always right.
Anyway, I think the earliest animation period that I have memories of watching is this like weird it was called what was it? It was about a carousel. The Magic Roundabout, I think is what it was called.
What?
I want to
I
say
gotta find out about
I
this
want
now.
to say
I
it
was
was
gonna
like claymation anime.
Magic Roundabout televised program. Wow, it's from 1964.
1964. Okay. So for context, my family lived in Germany at the time, and we had like when our stuff was like getting set up, we like had the TV plugged in and we only had like one or two channels. Like one channel was like the news and the other channel was like children's cartoons. So it played Thomas the Tank Engine and the Magic Roundabout and like nothing else. Like literally all day it was Thomas the Tank Engine and the Magic Roundabout. And I don't consider Thomas the Tank Engine animation. Not really, because like because of parts of it are
like
sort of
stop
live action-y.
It's stop
Yeah.
motion.
But so my first ever experience with animation is the Magic Roundabout. But
Okay.
also like Jacob, like I remember watching, like growing up watching like a lot of like the 90s like Amazing Spider-Man and Dragon Ball Z was my first introduction to like
I was
Japanese
not allowed to
anime.
watch Dragon Ball Z. There were 3 shows my mother banned for various reasons.
All of mine were on Cartoon Network. All 3 shows that my mother banned were from
All
Cartoon
3
Network.
of mine were on Cartoon Network. It was
Cow and Chicken.
Ooh. I never liked Cow and Chicken, so she didn't have to worry about that one.
Cow and Chicken. Oh no, the other one was on Nickelodeon. It was Ren and Stimpy.
I never
Cow
liked Ren
and
and Stimpy
Chicken.
either. Yeah.
Ren and Stimpy. I can't remember. I can't remember the other one.
I wasn't.
I remember.
I wasn't allowed to watch Gargoyles.
Really?
Yep, it was too dark.
Okay, sure.
I mean, it is very dark. Like most of the show does happen at night.
It was yeah.
It's great.
Dragon Ball Z was too violent. Ed, Edd and Eddy.
That's fair. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
it
fair.
is. That's fair.
Ed, Edd and Eddy was too stupid. And Courage the Cowardly Dog scared my mother, so she wouldn't let me watch it. Which is
Okay, that's
completely
that's
valid.
also fair because Courage the Cowardly
Completely
Dog.
valid.
There are some
Horrifying.
weird episodes of Courage the
No,
Cowardly
watching
Dog.
that back as an adult, I'm now like, oh my god, I loved this show as a kid. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then some other like big ones for me, and I don't know if you guys, but the PBS cartoons, like Liberty Kids and Code Lyoko.
Code Lyoko was a PBS cartoon.
Cyber Chase.
I don't think so.
What? No.
No, I think
It
that was on
aired on
Cartoon
PBS.
Network.
No, it aired on PBS. I swear.
I remember it airing on Cartoon Network. That's where I first saw it.
Really? I watched it on. I'm pretty sure it aired on PBS for me.
Oh my gosh, it did. That's
It
insane.
did? How?
Yes, it did.
That's wild.
Dun, 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 dun.
What?
I know.
I get
know.
Cyber
It's
Chase.
French? I didn't know that.
It's 97
Oh, it's on
episodes.
Netflix.
It's on Netflix. Don't rewatch it. It's so much worse than you remember it is.
Is it?
Yeah. My friend Malik did an episode of his cartoon reviews on it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it started airing in the United States on 19 April 2004 on Cartoon Network.
Wild.
Really?
Apparently, there was a follow-up series in 2012 called Lyoko Evolution.
Yes, and that one was more like, oh, I do remember Code Lyoko Evolution too. That's wild. Oh God.
This is insane. Speaking of weird animation, I started watching again Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go.
I love Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go.
It gets scary, like in the end. Like
Yeah.
it's trippy, like
love
kind of
that.
Lovecraftian.
That era of like Cartoon Network is so weird too, because it's got that one, and then it's got Hi
Puffy Ami Yumi.
Hi Puffy Ami Yumi. That's when that was the Teen Titans era. Yeah. Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah,
they
but
were
that Super
great.
Robot.
Teen
that-
Titans is fantastic, and I
Teen
will
Titans is
recommend it
fantastic.
to anyone that loves
it's-
superheroes or cartoons in general.
It's great.
I will also bring that up when we're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
if we talk about Avatar, at the rate we're going, we're not going to talk about
Okay, well,
anything.
okay, so
Honestly,
first
we can probably
impressions. First
just do
impressions of animation were all over the place. So
Yeah.
Jacob had some like sort of scientific things to say.
Yes.
Some like
Oh.
relatively intelligent things to say about animation in general.
Yeah, so there's a good Wikipedia article on, let's see, if you search traditional animation in
Cell
Wikipedia,
animation. Yeah, cell animation. Yeah.
it's very informative. But one of the things that I learned, because over Abby and I had a weird inside joke that she asked me to make a comic of for Christmas. Like that was her Christmas gift. and I I got bored trying to make a comic, so instead I decided to try and animate it. Um,
Which is so much harder.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
that seems
it's so
like a
much more
lot
work.
more work.
Yeah. So it was mostly just that like I didn't have like a plot for it yet, and so I was like, I'll figure out the plot as I'm like painstakingly and like animating this. Like I
That's
have.
not the answer, but sure. I mean, whatever works for you, man.
Yeah.
Live your dream.
Yeah. So
Live the
over.
dream.
Yeah,
Rock
like
the
over the
fall
winter
off.
break, I watched a lot of videos about animation, and one of the things that I learned from those was that so most things are run at 24 frames per second, but they only animate like every other frame of that. So they only need 12 images to fill a second of animation. And it's called like drawing on the twos, because it's like, second frame, fourth frame, etc. And it just ends up looking cleaner. Because if you ran the same animation at 12 frames per second, it wouldn't look as clean. But if you run it at 24 frames per second, even though it's just the same images, like it looks a lot smoother. Just because, I don't know, our brain's ability to, kind of interpret that stream of images as like a continuous thing.
Okay.
So anyways, that's just small factoid. And when they need to make something look really clean, they will fill in they'll have like intermediate, images to help like smooth out like quick motions, so that you can like see. So normally like you'd have just like an image here and an image here, but then if it's like moving really quickly, then they're gonna have the third image. But
unless you're watching Dragon Ball, in which most of the episodes are just the same frame over and over and over again.
oh, also fun fact, when I was reading that article, it said in the Wikipedia article, it talked about how they'll often do like the sound design first for something, and then they'll animate over it because it's easier to match the animation to like the timing.
The sound than the sound to the animation.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but sometimes they'll record the
voice
like,
actors
voice acting.
afterwards.
Yeah, so that.
Well, and
yeah,
I guess that depends
I've noticed
too
that
on...
voice actors like watch like the show that they're like
Well,
voice
that's
acting
a lot
for
of with
while they're voice
dubbing.
acting.
Well, dubbing too is a lot different, right? Because with dubbing, that's called matching lip flaps.
Yeah.
Where they want, like, they have to, even though it's said in a different language, they want to match, or it's animated in a different language, they want to match what they're saying to the rhythm of speech of the actual animation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one other kind of fun factoid is so I saw this on Tumblr the other day, actually, and I thought it was really interesting. But if you go back through a lot of like older Disney animation, they've heavily reused animation. They just reskin it for whatever it is. So like if you look at old Winnie the Pooh compared to like Jungle Book, if you look at like there's one like Sleeping Beauty, there was a scene as well. It was wild.
Yeah. Robin Hood and Jungle Book, I think, actually are like crazy similar.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There's the full scene where Mowgli's like jumping through the jungle is frame for frame the same as Christopher Robin exploring the 100-Acre Woods.
Yeah.
Like for the first time. It is wild how they fall off the log and they like do a bunch. It's wild.
That's really interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and you don't realize it in the moment, but when you sit them, they're the same pace. They're the same, shape of character as well.
You said something about reusing animations, and that just reminded me of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. There are so many scenes where like it's just like the same scene. They repeat it like one of the really popular ones is like when cops appear and they're firing their like laser guns. Like that scene of them like all showing up and like drawing.
Well, and
And
it's
a lot of like
classic budget
the
saving
web
technique.
swinging
Yeah.
scenes are the same, and like
Yeah.
stuff exploding, like when stuff is exploding in the background, that scene is like just reused so many times.
The thing is, for like a serialized television show for children, like who's gonna know?
Of course, yeah. Like
But
who's
when
gonna
you
be
can-
like, oh, what the heck? Like
When you can watch episodes just back to back to back to back, like as an adult, like, you know, you're
then
gonna
you
notice.
start to be like, wait a second.
Well, I mean, that's like realizing that the plot of almost every Power Rangers episode is the same.
I mean, it is.
Yeah,
I mean, it is.
The plot of every Redwall book's the same, so
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
Of every what?
of every Redwall book,
Oh no,
And the-
yeah, absolutely.
and the plot of every season of Digimon.
Speaking of which, have either of you seen Over the Garden Wall?
No.
The creator of Over the Garden Wall is getting a Netflix adaptation of Redwall.
I saw the
Oh.
Netflix adaptation
Right?
of
Right?
Redwall. I
So-
did hear about that.
So and I think this is something we can kind of round out the episode with, but since this came up, I want to throw it in now. Watch Over the Garden Wall. Preferably
Whoa, this is weird.
around some spooky season because it's Halloween themed. But Over the Garden Wall is incredible storytelling.
And there was a
Whoa.
Redwall animated series already on PBS.
That did already happen, which is how I experienced Redwall. I never actually read the book, but I watched the PBS series because that was one of the few channels
So
I
did
got,
actually.
like my personal TV. I had a TV in my room. It was a big box TV. It's actually still in my room at home. It's like a big box TV, and I used to just spend my like Sundays after CCD watching PBS while I did my homework. And
I mean, there's that fun part where the main character Matthias like confronts D&D Satan.
yes, yes, yeah. Also,
If you get that joke, props to you. I'm not going to explain it.
no,
I get it.
we don't have to.
This is super weird.
For the Garden Wall is or Redwall?
Brian Jacks.
It's a
I'm getting
competitive.
water, but I now am using my headphone cable. It's long enough for me to do so and still communicate.
Sorry, I was like enthralled by this video that Jacob sent. I'll link to it in the chat or in the chat
Show
in the
notes.
description.
Yep.
In the show notes. But it's
Oh, did
like,
you find the
holy
the-
shit, I have
outfit,
never
yeah.
realized that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real cool.
Holy shit.
It's great.
Yeah,
But
so
I mean,
the
it makes
video
sense.
that I
It's
linked
cheap.
was
like
him,
to do that is cheap. Like it
Yeah.
saves money, and you can still charge whatever full price for the media itself. Like
and
you
how
just,
many people
like,
are
reskin it or
watching?
whatever. Like
Jungle
yeah, how
Book
many people
and
are watching
Winnie the
those
Pooh
things
back to back?
to back or side to side or like Snow
Yeah.
White and
Oh,
Robin.
the other thing that was cool in that article, the Wikipedia article. So the video that Anthony just watched was like side-by-side comparisons of Disney reusing animation. And one of the things it talked about is they'll have a background, and then they'll have I think this might be the cells part where they put different
Yes.
like animated parts over this
It's
overlapping
basically
screen.
projector sheets that they've drawn on using various
Yeah,
pencils
and you
paper.
can notice that in a lot of especially like
Yeah.
older cartoons, like Snow White and like even old like television shows like Scooby Doo, like whatever the
Mhm.
characters are about to interact with
Oh my God,
is
I
always
watched
like
so much Scooby-Doo.
is always like much brighter
Yes.
than the background that it's
Like-
it's on.
To an extent of like the joke of like pick the main character in this anime, like it's the same thing. Like, what thing is the trap in Scooby-Doo? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they just were able to, reuse some of the animation because the character cells were separate from the backgrounds, and so that's I believe that is how they achieved it. Someone who is like an actual like Disney animation historian or just animation historian in general will probably know more for sure, but I imagine that's what happened.
That
Yeah.
that
Also,
sounds
I cannot
correct.
hear you or understand you.
The animation was done in watercolor background and then cells over it.
Okay.
Something about watercolors.
Yeah.
That was what I heard.
Yeah,
I
the
heard
backgrounds
something
were
about
generally watercolor.
Yeah. So Abby contributed that Disney used watercolor backgrounds, and it was kind of the same thing as what you were talking about with Scooby-Doo, where
Mhm.
the things that were going to be interacted with, you could never truly match them, because they were like colored at separate times. You can never really match them to the colors of the backgrounds. You should just come in. Like,
So, okay.
With the cell phone, they're
So,
like transparencies that they like layer over the background.
Mhm. Yes.
welcome Abby to the show.
Yes, welcome, Abby.
yeah, they say welcome, but
Okay, so animation. That's been a popular style kind of even now. Like even though like the rise of like
Well, like Fairly Odd Parents still uses it. SpongeBob still uses it. And these like popular shows, Danny Phantom up until recently, still use that style of cell shading animation. And you can like buy those cells. Fun fact, you can buy those for older shows. And
I didn't know that.
yes,
Learning lots of things this episode.
Yes, you can. They're not cheap, obviously, because they're originals and they're art pieces, individuals, but
Right.
they're really interesting.
I'm gonna release my own Cyberpunk 2077 using the original cells.
Well, and that's part of, so just kind of as like a tangent to that, that's part of what makes the video game Cuphead so special to me, is it was all done cell shading animation.
Beautiful.
Cuphead is an incredible game, just
goddamn
generally.
is it hard, but it is
yeah.
gorgeous. And the soundtrack is fantastic.
I have no problem spending money on that game and not really playing it simply because I want them to make more.
Yeah.
I want them to do more. This game took me 8 years.
I played the hell out of it, but it's
I could not get past the first world. I can't. I'm so terrible at platformers. I'm so terrible at platformers, and it's so fucking hard. Good for them.
Yeah, but I bought the soundtrack and still listen to it. It's fantastic.
But yeah, yeah, and like I think too though, and a lot of people. So this is a thing I've heard before. I'm not saying we agree with this or that any of you agree with this, or that it's even a popular opinion.
We don't agree with anything.
Obviously, that was almost the episode today. Fun secret.
I disagree.
What? It was your idea.
It wasn't my idea originally.
It was someone's idea. Someone not watching this video.
No,
we'll see.
But a lot of people kind of think that that's like a more true version of animation, as opposed to like modern 3D animation, like the Shreks and the DreamWorks stuff. But
I mean, computer animation is totally different. It looks completely different.
Well,
like
and there's
to animate something
styles,
that way,
right? Like there's different styles of 3D animation, right?
Oh yeah.
Because there's
the weird,
the well, there's the Pixar
realistic looking.
Yeah, but then there's also like the thing I'm specifically thinking about is like Hotel Transylvania. As hilarious as this sentence is going to be, Hotel Transylvania is an animation masterpiece. Because the way
that was less weird than I thought it was going to be.
The way they created the character models was so they were able to individualize every part of the 3D model itself. So Gendry Tartakovsky.
Painstaking work. Oh my gosh.
But it allowed them to do all of these weird motions and give it this extra character. Also, fun fact, if you didn't know that, Gendry Tartakovsky, the guy who did Samurai Jack, directed all 3 Hotel Transylvanias.
I did not know that, and that is a very fun fact.
That is very fun.
Andy Samberg is the main voice of the human.
I also did not know that. That is also a fun fact.
Hi, me, full of fun facts.
For reference, I have like a super rudimentary like
That's
background in animation from a class that I was in high school.
Right.
We worked on a project that was Quake mod.
AP CompSci.
Yeah, well, in computer systems. My team worked
okay.
on the Aliens versus Marines Quake 3 mod. And we reanimated a lot of the alien animations. And getting them to like walk on walls and stuff. We reanimated a lot of their models, and so that's like my frame of reference for like how painstaking animating things that way is.
Oh, shit.
Because like
Adam
if
Sandler
you
did
if you've seen,
Dracula,
yes,
and Selena Gomez was his daughter. Sorry.
Wait, who is
if you've
Dracula?
ever seen
Adam Sandler.
Oh,
In
weird.
Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah.
Weird.
If you've ever seen the movie Alien, the little facehugger creature, like all its little legs and its tail, how its tail like sort of whips around. We watched that movie so many times and like clips from that movie so much to be able to animate stuff so that it like looked like, I mean, as realistic looking as Quake 3 can get, like so that it looked more realistic and it seemed like more real.
I mean, if
Wow. This is
bringing it back
this,
to like anime,
sorry, this
like
is a
weeb
weirdly Star
stuff.
Trek cast. That's all. I'm so sorry. I'm just looking at the Hotel Transylvania IMDb page. I'm gonna stop now.
So what you're talking about, it reminded me of how like people who collect figurines, like the thing that you want the most is points of articulation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like the different individual parts that can move. And that's like what's so
Make it a more individualized pose, right?
Yeah. And so, you know, in animation that would be, you know, really useful. You know?
Well,
It's just
speaking of anime, there's a lot of there's a lot of like models and like model building. There's another specific
true,
term
yeah.
for it. For a lot of some of my favorite anime, Gundam. And a lot of them get even as particular as like being able to move the fingers like individually and the knuckles like and all the joints in the
that's
like
a whole
individually, which
separate
is crazy.
Yeah, like model making is insane. I have one of our friends here, his wife got a job at Columbia. So he was like left alone in their house, just like
You say at Columbia.
No, like she was working for the Columbia University. Sorry.
Oh,
Columbia
okay. Columbia. Okay, I was like.
So she had to move to New
Columbia.
York. She moved to New York for like several months, and while he was left alone here, all he did was do like figure painting and Gundam crafting.
This seems like a Lifetime movie, like a sad Lifetime movie. Like,
but for nerds.
I don't know. That seems like a plot device in a really sad romance.
We played
movie.
a lot of Magic, and he built a lot of Gundam, and he painted a lot of figurines, and he's very good at it.
Look, it would only be a problem. Like it would only be a sad Lifetime movie
I'm not
if
saying
he
it's
was
a bad
slowly
thing.
if he was slowly losing his sight, or if he was also losing articulation in his fingers from like arthritis or something.
Yeah.
Like that would be like, you know,
That's
really
a
on there.
Lifetime movie. Yeah. For sure.
Okay, we took that and like ran a little.
No.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. Okay.
So
we teased it. We teased it earlier, but do we want to talk about the difference between like Western animation and Eastern animation? Yeah, because there is a huge difference.
Well, there's also even in anime.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just keep saying anime. Even in anime, like the difference between something like the way stuff is animated, like we were talking before about how like Disney is animating things, and now that like Pixar and like DreamWorks, and they're moving to a lot more like different style of animating things.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything's like painted and using cells. you can look at the difference between a lot of like anime from the late 80s and like early 90s, like Cowboy Bebop, Rurouni Kenshin, Yu Yu Hakusho, even like really early episodes of Dragon Ball and a lot of the older episodes of Dragon Ball Z. There was one I was thinking of in particular that I
Well,
can't
kind of
remember
like
now.
it's
But
basically
even like even Gundam,
pre-Funimation in a lot of ways.
yeah,
Like it's
a lot of
pre-Funimation moving to Texas, which
a lot
happened
of
in like the mid '90s.
a lot of the earlier seasons of Gundam, Gundam Wing, Gundam Zero, and Mobile Suit Gundam. The way that they're animated, like the style is like you can look like, depending on how much you know about anime and how much you watch and like consume in general of what Eastern anime, you can tell, like you can look at some Initial D, that was the other one I was thinking of. You can like look at something and you're like, that's from the 90s. Like that anime was released in the 90s. Like you can just look at it and just know because of the style and like what was popular then and a popular way to animate something. What was like
Bleach too is a lot.
cost effective.
Bleach is.
And Bleach still does it that way. I think Bleach is like
Mhm.
one of the few like ongoing
Eastern
animes
yeah.
animes that like still does it that way because they wanted to keep the same style.
Yeah,
Although Bleach is nuts. Oh my god.
I tried so hard to watch Bleach. So bad. It was bad.
Drink it in. Drink the bleach from your eyes.
No! As opposed to like Western anime, which kind of is like signified by like Funimation, and then like shows like Airbender, shows like even like a lot of some Cartoon Network shows like Shaolin Showdown take that like approach of like an anime style art direction. Samurai Jack.
But Samurai Jack is like, I mean, it's called Samurai Jack. Like it's about Samurai Jack. Like
Samurai
it's
Jack.
very very Eastern influence.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
the
Asian
Teenage
style.
Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series from
Yes.
TMNT from
Yes,
2004.
yes. The
That makes
older
me
one,
think like
Yeah.
which is fantastic. If you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, definitely watch that series. It gets weird. Like there's a part in season 3 where they like meet dinosaur people or something. Like there's part of
it
it that
goes
gets
into the weirdness of
really
the
weird.
comics.
But it's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Definitely check it out if you're into cartoons. And I gotta like, not gonna get on a Star Wars tangent, I promise. But the micro series Star Wars Clone Wars, like everybody's like, oh, Star Wars Clone Wars, like the television show right now. I'm like, nah, no. The micro series was
The original Clone Wars series was pretty fantastic.
just like 5-minute episodes that like came on at the end, like on Toonami, that like came on at the end of a show, like instead of showing like a bunch of random commercials. Like an episode of the micro series, and it would come on and be like, gosh.
I have such vivid memories of like watching Toonami, and I didn't know this until I was much older, but Steve Bloom is the voice of Toonami. And then
is he really Tom's voice?
Steve Bloom is the voice of Tom. Yes.
Yep.
Oh my god! Like still though, because they were
I
like
think
bringing Tom back. Like
I don't know
something.
actually. I don't know. I'll look it up. No, it's still Steve Bloom. Yeah.
Toonami used to do video game reviews. I remember their review of Alien Hominid just like so vividly.
Yeah, and I just have like vivid memories of him talking like. Yeah, he just did an interview in July as Tom
Who was the
from
computer's
Toonami.
voice?
I don't know.
Because they gave his computer a voice.
They
like,
did.
Later on.
It was Gendy Tartakovsky.
I hope not. That's like.
That would be
he's
funny.
got his hands in too many pies. Stop touching
Look,
the
good
pies.
for Gendy though. You know what I mean?
I think he was one of the leads of the Clone Wars micro series project though, if not the director. I'm gonna look that up. I cannot spell his name for the life of me.
I mean, that was also Gendy Tartakovsky.
Sarah was the computer.
Gendy Tartakovsky was the animator.
Yeah,
Sarah-
program creators Gennady Tartakovsky, George Lucas, and Henry Gilroy.
Yeah.
3 seasons in 2003.
The
Wow, I
thick
did
line.
not realize it was that old. There's 25 episodes.
Sally Timms is the voice of Sarah, who was the computer on Toonami.
Speaking of Western animation as well, Megas
Anthony
XLR.
Daniels also did the voice of C-3PO. He was one of the original voices.
Megas XLR is, I think, a contender. I don't know if you'd necessarily consider it anime, but like,
I mean, it's
there's
animation,
that,
it's
like-
a cartoon.
yeah. I just don't know like which Western animations would be considered in like an anime style necessarily. Like there's
I would definitely say Avatar, and this is what I was like talking about earlier, is like there's a lot of scenes where like their facial expressions. I'm especially thinking of when they're in the desert after they lose Appa and they're in the desert and Sokka drinks the cactus juice and is
Yeah.
like being really weird. The like facial like
juice.
right stuff they do with like their face and like expressions.
A
And
lot
the
of the
way that they-
pacing, too.
Yeah, the pacing and the way they move is very, very heavily like you can see like this is something I would see in Eastern anime.
Well,
Like,
also,
that's what
but
makes that like.
on that note, the entire first season of Korra is a sports anime.
I mean,
Hot
yeah,
take.
no, absolutely.
Jacob.
I mean, it absolutely. That's not a hot take. It absolutely is. It's about the tournament.
It's about the tournament arc.
It's a
Yeah.
tournament arc anime
So
with no
I don't.
character development.
I would have to look at some other. I would have to do like a deeper dive on like Western animation. But like one thing that when you were talking about like the Airbender, like the Avatar series as a contender for being considered an anime, is like fight choreography. Like
Mhm.
there's you know
I mean-
like I've seen things about how like in Naruto them trying really hard to work with like actual martial artists to animate these things correctly, and also a lot of the inspiration for like the movements of the bending and other things.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
directly
that just like
related.
reinforces the point that it's an anime. Is they're based on Eastern martial arts styles. All of the bending from each of the 4 nations is based on
different
martial
styles of
arts.
martial arts.
Yeah.
styles, and even the non-bending arts that each nation has. That there's a lot of stuff about Sokka now, about how he mastered all of like swordsmanship in the Fire Nation and like the Kyoshi warrior traditions of the Earth Nation or of the Earth Kingdom. Like he mastered all of the like non-bending like
Yeah.
styles of like
There's
whatever.
a
fighting.
reason he became, the important figure in the worlds that he did, not just because he was friends with the Avatar, but because he himself was also like an avatar in a way. He was an avatar for those who cannot bend. He was
Right.
the anti-Amon.
And yeah, and so that obviously like the swordsmanship especially is, and I mean even the Kyoshi you think about like it reminds me a lot of like geisha culture.
Yeah,
Um,
that's and it's very much that.
it just like keeps reinforcing the point that it's like it wants so hard to be an Eastern, like an anime. But the way that it's made, the way that it's drawn, and the way I would even say like the way it's voice acted, if that makes sense, like makes it more of a cartoon, like a Western cartoon than like an anime.
And here's where I argue against that is, have you ever seen like Samurai Champloo?
Yeah.
Samurai Champloo is an anime, definitely,
Right.
but it has a lot of the same, like stylistic choices and voice acting choices that Avatar does, I think.
I mean, and there's even like the more like bizarre stuff like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure
Yeah.
That are sort of like the weirdness is like reminiscent of stuff in Avatar. That's like a really wild comparison. But
yeah, I was gonna say, like, oh god, Bizarre Adventure is one of those that I can't get into.
The first 26 episodes are good on their own. I watched all of season 3, or season 2. It's technically season 2. It's part 3 in
I have
their
attempted to watch the
stuff.
first episode 3 separate times, both subbed and dubbed.
it's bizarre.
Attempted.
Like, that's
Attempted
really what you can say
is.
about
Yeah, Stardust Crusaders has some good moments, but it's not the kind of anime that I would recommend, really.
Mhm.
So
But anyway, my point is that
Yes.
it does stuff that is reminiscent, sort of the other way around, of like things in Western like cartoon and animation culture.
Mhm.
And the
No,
way
yeah.
in the way, especially in the voice, especially in the way this stuff is voice acted.
Well, and I think
And just like not like that they use the same techniques, but like the style. Like if you watch a cartoon and then you watch like JoJo, like even watching a cartoon like Adventure Time or something, and then like watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I would say even like Steven Universe, like the way that the characters are voiced by their voice actors is very similar.
Well, and I think that's just an evolution of voice acting as an art in general, right? Like
Possibly.
because I think in terms of animated shows, I feel like Japan and Eastern animation really had that kind of narrowed down a lot better from an earlier point. Because
Well, yeah,
there
you
was
think about
passion
like
about that.
late 80s, early 90s
Yeah.
cartoons in like coming from the East, and you think about like late 80s, early 90s cartoons coming from the West, and like there was a clear like this is obviously better.
Well, and
like,
I think
more
the difference.
refined.
Well, and I think the difference too is like they weren't in Western cartoons, and right, like I think the best example of it is the 90s Spider-Man, where everything is so overacted. And I think what they were doing was like they treated it like because you couldn't see their face, you had to
feel
like
it.
like silent film style, like express it in other ways.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk like this. So it's very like radio play. And I think the American radio play really affected like voice acting in America. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I completely agree. That makes complete sense.
So is Boondocks an anime?
Ooh,
yes.
Now we're getting there.
Yes.
Why, yes.
The style, the storytelling, and the pacing, I really think the Boondocks falls into that like anime, like again, like comparing it to like Samurai Champloo, like I think is the most direct comparison, like, or even stuff like Dragon Ball, like there's a lot of like tension that just like sits in Boondocks,
So
like
Jacob,
it never gets resolved.
So Jacob, I have to ask, is this because you've seen the side-by-side GIF comparison of I can't remember the kid's name in Boondocks. There's a scene in Boondocks that is the exact same fight choreography as a scene in Naruto. And there's a side-by-side GIF comparison of it.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I was like, the style, yes, and then also some of the episodes where they have like, intricate like fight choreography. And that's something.
I mean, it's not even intricate fight choreography. Like she's beating the kid like with her purse.
Oh, I was just thinking. I haven't seen what you talked about, so I just from the episodes that I have seen of Boondocks, like there's a lot of inspiration for like that kind of animation, like like just the way that certain motions are blurred, like the way people's like arms go, before certain like fights, like there's like
and anime tropes like beach episodes.
Exactly. Well, and like
Abby added anime tropes like beach episodes.
Yes. And when you compare that like tonally and color, like from a color grade perspective as well, animes like Black Lagoon and stuff like that really fall into that same
She's
look
not
and
using her
style.
curse, but I'm gonna screen share this because this is what I was talking about exactly.
Okay. Yeah, but I just think like stylistically, animes like Boondocks and
That's great.
Black Lagoon are like
it's exactly the same. Like,
yeah.
There's screen sharing. Yeah, I looked it up.
yeah. So that's.
I
I had to ask if that's what you were talking about, or if that's what you were thinking about when you asked that.
There's an incredible episode of the Boondocks that's about them selling chocolate bars for like a school fundraiser.
Yeah. No,
I
know what you're talking about.
Oh man, the ending of that episode is incredible. Oh goodness.
The Boondocks is hilarious, but it is definitely a show that could not be made today. And I'll just leave it at that. Like, if you want to check it out and haven't, do so. But like, just we are not qualified to talk about it. I'll put it that way. That's the best way I can put it.
I feel like we've been talking about. I feel like this episode's gone pretty long. Would you agree?
We're only here an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. Are we trying to break our record every episode?
Oh no, certainly not.
Is there anything else pressing, or do we want to get to final thoughts?
Do we want to mention like Studio Ghibli at all, because we have not talked about them?
We haven't, and I think we should, because Studio Ghibli, I had never seen Studio Ghibli until I was an adult, so I didn't get the like childhood wonder of it, but I got to like relive and experience childhood wonder at like 18, 19, 20 when I first watched Spirited Away. Was my like first...
Spirited Away is one of the greatest.
That was the first one I watched.
Ever.
Yeah, Spirited Away is incredible.
That was the first one I saw. I saw that in theaters.
Oh.
And the theater like broke, like the film thing,
yeah.
like the projector broke halfway through, and we all got vouchers to come back and see it later.
Nice.
Cool.
And the beginning of that movie is so cool. So just getting to see it again.
I mean, the whole movie is so cool.
The whole film is incredible. I just have like such vivid memories of like that first bit. It's not my favorite Ghibli film though. My favorite Ghibli film is Howl's Moving Castle.
I think I knew that.
Yeah, there's something really beautiful about Howl's Moving Castle for me. I just think it's a very interesting story. That's all.
My favorite is definitely Spirited Away, just because everything about it is fantastic, but it is very
Mononoke
closely.
Is also incredible.
Mononoke is the popular favorite.
It depends.
Nausicaa.
I was gonna say it depends on who you ask, because a lot of people think Mononoke is too weird.
But those are the people that like My Neighbor Totoro.
Yes, those are the Totoro fans. Which is
super weird.
Totoro is so cute though.
Cat
the cat bus.
Like you cannot tell me that anything in Mononoke is weirder than the cat bus.
But Nausicaa of the Sky.
Valley of the Wind.
Valley of the Wind, that one. Sorry, Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind is incredible from just like a writing perspective. I think like it's truly a beautifully written film. And I think that's what Ghibli does well, is they take incredible storytelling and then just put beautiful art to it.
And this is where I wanted to go with this. Kiki's Delivery Service is fun facts. First Studio Ghibli film I ever watched. The voice of Kiki is done by Kirsten Dunst, who was Mary Jane in the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. It might be her first role in anything.
Really?
But I don't know that. Do not quote me on that.
Check.
Yeah, I know.
Do fact check that. I'm not 100% certain of that.
So she was a model, and then
I'm talking about like in terms of acting.
I know. So she at age 6 she made her feature film debut in Woody Allen's short film Oedipus Rex. And then she was in the comedy drama The Bonfire of Vanities.
Okay,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I was wrong. Point. I was thinking about this the other day, just based on like things that are going on at home, and like something that somebody said, or at some point I was reminded of this movie, and it's like it's a children's cartoon like about a witch who like is like not like up and coming is the wrong word, but like discovering her powers, and like
Yeah.
she faces all these challenges, but like the theming of the movie is so like poignant in that it's like it the overarching story is like it deals with like the pain of failure and like
Mhm.
loss of belief in yourself, and like learning to believe in yourself again. And like I sort of noticed that when I watched it as a kid, but like thinking, like watching it later on in life and like thinking about it now, I was like, oh my god, like so much of that movie, like what the movie teaches, and you're not even like noticing. It's not like you're being taught something like numbers and like shapes and letters, like Blue's Clues or something like, but like it teaches you in like a very subtle way, like that, like it's okay to fail, like it's okay to like lose like that belief in yourself, and like you will find it again and you will succeed.
Wow,
Like
it's
if you
not even on
persevere.
it's not on her IMDb page.
That bothers me.
Yeah, it's not on her IMDb page that I'm finding. Because it
Made in
was the
1989.
the dub was done in 1996, 1997, and I'm looking at all of her 1996, 1997 stuff, and you've got, yeah, like
Weird.
Siege at Ruby, Mother Night, Touched by an Angel, The Outer Limits, ER, Gun, The Wonderful World of Disney, and The Tower of Terror, Anastasia, Wag the Dog, True Heart.
I have it right here.
You have it on
Original.
her IMDb?
No, it's on Wikipedia.
It's on the Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Not on her
original
IMDb.
Japanese voice
Okay.
actor, English voice actor in 1990, and English voice actor Disney 1997,
No, it's on there.
1998. Kirsten Dunst.
No, I know it's on there. I just thought that was interesting. Debbie Reynolds plays the Madame in Kiki. Wow.
Yes, I knew that.
Interesting. Well, also in the same vein of like weird voice acting choices, right? Like, Shia LaBeouf is the male interest in Noska the Sky of the Wind Valley.
Oh, yep.
He's the
Yeah,
male.
he's great.
Not
He's
know
the
that.
boy
That's so.
lead.
That makes so much sense.
Like, and then
She's
this is what I-
credited on IMDb for Kiki's Delivery Service on her personal page.
on her personal page.
Yeah.
I'm on her. Man, that's weird. I'm on her personal page. I'm not seeing it. Maybe
On
I'm just,
IMDb?
Yeah.
They credit her in 1989.
In 1989. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's there. No. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, there it is. It's very early in her career. Okay. But yeah, she
But
didn't do
more
it.
importantly, she is in Little Women.
She is in the. I remember her in that early Little Women. It was bad.
She's in Little Women and Jumanji.
Yeah, and Jumanji.
Oh, she is in Jumanji. Shit, I always forget about that movie. Not like
How
that
can
it
you?
exists, but I forget about like what happens in it and like who's in it, other
Yeah.
than Robin Williams. Just like all my memories of Jumanji involve Robin Williams in a scene.
What year is it?
What?
And yeah, and that picture of him,
Dad!
like, screaming.
Dad, I'm home! Dad!
Yeah.
Mom, Dad, I'm home!
Patrick Stewart also voice acts in that Noska the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Patrick
okay. No, I
Stewart
knew
is
that. I thought you were
Loofah.
gonna say he was in
Yeah.
Jumanji for a second. I was
No.
like, what?
Uma Thurman's in it. Tara Strong. Mark Hamill is the mayor of Pajit.
Mark
Yeah.
Hamill does so much
He's in
voice
everything.
acting.
Mark
Oh my
Hamill
God,
is Skeleton
he's in
King and
everything.
Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I heard him talk like recently when I was watching it, and I was like, that's Mark Hamill.
Interesting.
If you go through his
He
voice
just
acting
uses the
credits,
joke.
if you go through his like credits for also something we've totally neglected as well. I just want to throw it out there because I think final thoughts are like, what are 3 animated pieces of media you would recommend someone watching? And I'm not talking.
Okay. This was gonna
This is
be what I was gonna say. It
the
needs
good
to be our
final
final
thoughts.
thoughts. Like
I want your top 3.
top 3.
Top
And
3?
one of
I
mine
can
is
give
over
top 3, but not in any particular order.
no particular order. Yeah, and that's why one of them for me is Over the Garden Wall.
Okay, hold on. Real quick.
Yeah.
Your top 3 have to include at least you have to include at least one piece from West and one piece from East.
Mm-hmm.
Not One Piece the anime, but like you have to like
I think
then
okay.
I
one of the
recommend
3
one.
has to be from the West, and one of them has to be from the East.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Does it have to be from
that'll
the
be
East or just Eastern inspired? Because we've talked about how some Western animation.
Okay. Eastern. Okay, fair. Eastern inspired.
Eastern inspired. Okay. I have my 3. I have my 3.
Can I
Okay,
have
then-
a real quick before our recommendations? Just a
Yes.
real quick
Yeah, go ahead.
question for you both as well. Something we
No, you're
have
wrong.
not talked about is shows like Rick and Morty.
That's why I was kind of going with
Yeah,
one
like
of mine. Yeah.
I was just
I'm
thinking
lost.
about how. Okay, wait. So it's an animated thing. It's an animated piece of
It's
media.
a cartoon.
Yeah, it's a cartoon. Like, but the thing is,
But
we
it's
just
the
haven't.
gearing
We
of
haven't.
it.
We haven't put. We've talked a lot about the comparing Eastern and Western animation in terms of how close they are in comparison to Eastern animation. We haven't. I don't feel like we've done like a real solid dive into Western animation, like
I think
as
if we
its
wanted
ability, because I feel like a lot of anime there's definitely like stylistic differences, but at the same time it's like that's all anime. But like
Okay, so
Rick and Morty, American
okay,
Dad, like I don't like American
Angry
Dad, but like
Beavers.
it's very different.
okay, so how about this? So this what this is telling me in order to avoid making this the longest Doctor Z show ever forever.
we should do a second episode.
We should do a second episode talking about animation. We'll have to go and look at some things and like
Yeah.
learn and come back to this to sort of answer Jacob's question. Like more.
Which one
thoroughly.
of Boondocks an anime?
No, not as Boondocks and anime, because I think we
'Cause
answered
it
that
is.
already. But like,
Because it is. Well, and yeah, and like,
but like
I feel like
comparing, like, yeah, he's right though. We compared a lot of stuff to like Eastern anime, and like my thinking behind that is like because that was not perfected, but because it was like it was more polished earlier.
yeah.
Like it was a more polished product earlier.
But I think there's still really good examples of like polished animation in the West that like we didn't touch on. Things like, Cat Dog, Angry Beavers, Ren and Stimpy, and Invader Zim and stuff like that. Like, I mean, like define polished, right? Like
Right. No, that's true.
stylistically, it was polished, right? The writing was tight, the animation was over the top and well done. But and then like, yeah, I think we can do a second. We could easily do a second episode talking about strictly Western animation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
we'll have to come
particular.
back and do that.
Yeah, I particularly want to talk about like, is it okay for animation to be ugly? Because I feel like a lot of anime like looks good, like it's like visually pleasing, even if it's not necessarily like about a subject that I like or like appropriate for me, like just with like my own media standards. But like, I feel like a lot of it just looks good
What did you
because
say,
it's
bro?
all very similar. But cartoons, like Western cartoons, wild. They're everywhere. Like they're like the style
So
of Ed, Ed, and
there's-
Eddie. Hate it. But we can talk about that in the next episode.
We
The
can.
style of the new Ed. Don't even get me started on the new Ed, and Eddie, because vomit.
So
That's all. I'm
there's
gonna
a
say.
show on, I believe it's Adult Swim, and
Of course.
linked in the show notes, my friend Malik does an episode of his show on this. It's called Problem Solvers. And I don't know how to explain Problem Solvers to anyone. I had never heard of it
This
until
is worrying.
he did an episode on it, and I don't. But like, it's the worst animation I've ever seen on a television. That's been allowed on a television.
That's
And I mean that
strong.
with severity. I mean that with intensity. I mean that it
You're
is
using
the
a lot of adjectives that are
it
worrying
is
to me.
the fucking worst. Here.
Yeah. So I think that'll be good. There'll be a
Yeah.
lot of like style differences that we'll be able to analyze, because this episode was a lot about style similarities.
Yeah.
And then I think we can come back and we can discuss the differences.
I was trying to
Well, and
figure out
also-
a way to combine the word anime and similarities.
Animarities.
It's-
Analarities.
It's not working.
Yeah, it didn't work.
But final thoughts. I think we can still do final thoughts top 3
Yeah, no, definitely.
animated pieces of content. And I have my top 3.
Okay, so you can go first since you have your top 3. I think I have my top 3, but
In no particular order.
no particular
think-
odor either.
Order.
Take a
Yeah. I think you should watch, I think we all should watch, if you haven't already, Gravity Falls, Flashpoint
Like-
Paradox.
Question, like all of it or just
Yeah,
like
yeah. It's just 40 episodes.
Okay.
It's
good.
not that long, and it's really interesting.
It's
Okay.
stupid good. It's
It's
stupid how
So
good
that's
that show is.
so like if
Yeah.
Jacob so just reference if Jacob is like, oh, Dragon Ball Z, like you don't have to watch all of Dragon Ball Z. Like
No, do a super
like-
cut.
yeah. Like
Yeah, so Gravity Falls, Flashpoint Paradox,
okay.
which is a Flash animated movie. Highly recommend it. And then my final one is Samurai Jack.
Oh, damn it.
I
was gonna say
like,
Samurai Jack.
So I
Shit,
didn't
that
realize
was gonna
how
be my
much
Western one.
I didn't realize how much I loved Samurai Jack until
It's fantastic.
the final season came out, and I spent my time before it because Lewis had never seen it. He'd never seen Samurai Jack because he didn't have a TV growing up. He didn't watch a lot of like TV. So I got to
Weird.
show him Pocahontas. I got to show him like all sorts of great stuff.
It seems like a wild left turn from Samurai Jack, but okay.
But like I got to show him like Tarzan and Pocahontas and
Okay,
like
yeah.
all these like things that like I cherished a lot in my childhood. Mulan we got to
Tarzan's
rewatch.
fantastic.
But we went through and we rewatched like key episodes of Samurai Jack.
Oh,
And
side note real quick about, you said Mulan. Side note real quick. The voice actress for Disney's Mulan has the Disney hat trick.
yes,
She's been a Marvel superhero, a Disney princess, and she's in Star Wars. She was in the
Yes.
Mandalorian.
yes,
She has the Disney hat trick.
yes, which I'm very happy for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those
sorry,
are my
go ahead.
top 3. Yeah, Gravity
Okay.
Falls, Flashpoint Paradox, and Samurai Jack.
Damn. Okay, Jacob, I'll let you go.
You
'cause I
can
feel
have
like
Cowboy
you're
Bebop.
No, yes, obviously. I'll let
Okay.
Jacob go because I think he's gonna steal one of my other ones, but we'll see.
Disney's Recess.
Ooh.
What? Really?
Left
As
turn,
in your,
and I love
in your
it.
top 3.
Your top
If
3?
I were to recommend a Western animated series,
Really?
I'm choosing Disney's Recess.
I love it. You know what?
Why? No,
It's good.
I
Great
would.
show.
I just don't like see. I don't even see you watching it. Like
I've watched all of it. It's amazing. It's a great show.
that.
It-
That's your Western pick, really?
Yeah, we've already talked by talking about and highly recommending a lot of things already on this episode. I was just
Yeah.
like, you
Oh,
know,
okay. Okay, no,
I-
that's
I feel
fair.
like,
I'm
know-
gonna pick stuff that we've talked about because
Yeah.
they're in my top 3. But like,
Yeah.
Okay,
admittedly,
that's
but I
fair.
feel like everyone's gonna be everyone who's ever received a recommendation to watch anything ever has received a recommendation to watch Avatar, and so that was part
Yeah,
of it.
that's
Like,
why
I'm
I'm
not
not gonna.
part of
picking it.
why-
I'm not gonna pick Avatar because
Yeah.
I recommend anyone should watch it. Like everyone on the planet, like
Well,
required
and that's part of why,
like to
like,
watch Avatar. Like it's so good.
that's part of why I didn't
New
choose
World
Cowboy
Order.
Bebop. I feel like we talk about Cowboy Bebop a lot, and I figured also that you were going to talk about it too.
I'm
Um,
not. Yeah, and I'm not gonna recommend Cowboy Bebop because every single time anything remotely related to Cowboy Bebop comes up, I'm like, watch Cowboy Bebop. It's so
I feel like,
good.
yeah, we've already
And it's only
recommended
26
it enough.
episodes. It's so fucking good. Watch Cowboy Bebop.
The
It's
music
so
alone.
fucking good.
The music alone
Yeah.
is.
Do you like jazz? You're about to.
You like
first
jazz?
The first
Oh,
rule
what's
of
that
Cowboy
from?
Bebop is you do not skip the intro to Cowboy Bebop.
So, yeah, Disney's Recess, Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, that
I-
tracks
oh,
for you.
I'm gonna recommend both.
Okay, Full
I
Metal Alchemist.
personally think
Movie.
Yeah, I personally think you should watch the original and then watch Brotherhood if you want to get kind of everything out of that experience. Because Brotherhood's great, and there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, the first one sucks compared to Brotherhood," but like, I don't know. I mean, that's just their opinion. But
Yeah.
I think it's worth watching both.
I did finally get around to it a while ago, and I agree
Yeah.
with Jacob on this.
A
A lot of people are like, "Don't bother with the original, only watch Brotherhood," but I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm picking an Eastern animation, a Western animation, and then I'm gonna pick an animated film. I think is how I'm gonna do
Yeah.
this.
Okay.
I'll recommend Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. I think it's a little weird, but
It's
it's really
very
It
good.
is a little weird.
Yeah, you're gonna have to like just be willing to sit and go along with the ride. I feel like it's like, especially of the Ghibli films, I would argue it's one of the weirdest. It's-
Yeah, okay.
There's also
I think-
Porco Rosso.
I could get on board with that.
Well, I think
I
just
mean,
like,
even Ponyo is like kind of weird.
well, no, but what I'm saying is like from a general concept.
Oh
Like,
yeah, no, absolutely.
like things like Ponyo, there's a lot of like grounding in like this is just kind of a regular society with one exceptional thing happening. Same
Right.
with like Totoro.
Kiki's
Same-
delivery services, especially like that. Like witches are just like accepted.
Yeah.
They're
Or,
just
like,
like, oh yeah,
like, even
you're a
in
witch.
Howl,
Like cool.
Even in Howl's Moving
What?
Castle, but like what I'm also saying is like derived from our own society as well. Like from like
Right, yeah.
like Spirited Away is just like, oh cool, this girl walks into a weird part of like a market and now she's in the spirit world.
Yeah.
But like
Fair. No, that's fair.
Nausicaa is like, this is an entirely different world with its own backstory that we don't have time to explain. Just go with it.
Right, no, okay.
It's not important to the story we're telling. And I love it.
Yeah.
Continue. I love that. Yeah, I think that's what. So wait, Recess, Full Metal Alchemist, and
Nausicaa.
Okay, I love
Those
that.
are my
Yeah.
recommendations.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're kind of running. What I like is we're running like age too,
Like the
right?
full gambit.
Like we're running the full gambit. Like you can, like, I've got a lot of like newer stuff. Jacob pulled a lot of older stuff. Brotherhood's relatively new, but like Recess is like late 90s and Nausicaa's late 80s.
Damn. That means it's my turn.
It is your turn.
Shit. I think I might do what Jacob did and pick a film out. But my thought would be to pick a Studio Ghibli film, so I might not do that. So I was gonna pick Samurai Jack, and obviously and Brenna picked it, which I agree with.
Hey, it's something we agree on.
And like everyone agrees that you should watch Avatar. Like that's just an accepted fact. So I'm not even gonna bother
One of us.
recommending that.
One of us.
Your groomsman's gift to us were glasses, and you're drinking out of one today, or the glasses from that symbolize the four elements. Yeah.
This is like in the house. Like I still have the Star Wars pint glasses, but in the house, no one drinks out of this glass ever. When I wash it, I immediately pull it out of the dishwasher and keep it in the freezer. Like I am the only person in the house that drinks out of this glass.
See,
That's how protective I am of it.
Oh,
I told you what
I love-
happened when my Mandoa glass fell out of the freezer at my parents' house and shattered. I sat on the floor and cried. That's how distraught I was about losing it, that glass.
Sad.
And then my wife bought me the set of the Disney ones. Anyway, or of the Disney
Star Wars ones.
Ugh, the Star Wars.
I mean, it is
Separate.
Disney. It's
My
Disney.
face. Get out of my face.
It's Disney.
On the vein of that,
Yep.
my Western pick is going to be the micro series Clone Wars. It's 25 episodes, it's very short, but it's fantastic.
The animation
got
is a
two
little
Gendis.
wild, but
It's extremely well written.
yeah.
It's extremely well voice acted, and the art style. Well, I'll
It
agree
is
with Jacob.
voice
The
acted.
art style is a little. It
rough.
takes a little bit getting used to, but like
It was kind of ahead of its time, so there were a lot of
was.
bugs. There were
it
a lot
was.
of bugs.
It was
in it.
ahead of its time.
There's also
Right.
be prepared for so many explosions if you watch it.
Unnecessary.
yeah.
There's,
Absolutely.
there's explosions everywhere all
Oh
the
no,
time.
absolutely.
Over
No,
and
it's
over
amazing.
again.
90% of sound
It is
mixing is explosions.
Action packed. Okay, okay, real quick. We got to keep going, so we're not the longest episode of that Obviously show ever again. So Clone Wars, the micro series on Cartoon Network. I want to say, obviously, I want to say Cowboy Bebop, and I want to say Rurouni Kenshin. And I almost want to say Initial D.
Really?
I'll put this out as a caveat. Initial D, if you really like cars, if you're really into cars, watch Initial
I was
D.
gonna say because
But that's not my
think
pick.
that's like the Fast and the Furious. Like if you're into cars,
No.
really?
Well, if you're
Oh.
into cars, you don't watch Fast and the Furious.
Oh,
if,
that
if you're
is
one
not.
of no, if you're one of those people that's like really into cars, and I mean like really into cars, like you go to car meetups into cars, then Initial D is for you for sure. That's not going to be my recommendation though, although if you're into cars, Initial D.
It's like your nuanced. It's like your nuanced.
That's my super like nuanced pick. But I'm gonna say Gundam.
Okay.
I've talked about Gundam before on the show. I'm one of those weird people that does not like Gundam SD and like the really like action-packed Gundams. And this is like why I'm super into Mech Warrior, is like I really like the politics of it, and then they fight in giant robots. Like, and there are so many episodes of Gundam, even Gundam Wing, where the robots are just never mentioned. It's just never brought up that they exist or that they're like that's a thing. Parts of it are a little weird, yes, definitely. But Gundam is my Eastern pick. And one more. There's so much. To avoid the death glare from Brenna again about this, I will not recommend Yu Yu Hakusho. Hey, if you like tournament arc anime, like Yu Yu Hakusho's got it.
If you like tournament arc animes,
It'll hook you up.
Tournament arc anime, the anime.
it is. God,
It is.
it takes forever. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I just cannot stand
It doesn't
that
take
anime.
nearly as long as Dragon Ball Z.
No, it
Or
doesn't.
even original Dragon Ball. It doesn't take nearly as long. Okay. I might go. I think I am gonna go with the film, but I'm gonna go with a Western film.
Go for it.
And I hate myself for picking a Disney movie, but
Oh,
Robin Hood.
okay. Yeah.
It's just like fun. It's just like it's fun. It like rewatching it, you see a lot of the things that we were talking about earlier, where like stuff is reused, and you're like, oh no, or like whatever, like. But it's just
Also,
it's
why is
fun.
the fox sexy? But that's a separate issue. Like, why
That-
is
Stop saying things like that. Like you said that with the goblin, and it weirded me out. Like I'm worried about you,
Don't be.
Brenna. Like.
What?
Mm.
I wasn't the one who said. Okay, I am not the.
You brought it up. So,
I'm not the origin of the hobgoblin in D&D 5e is sexy. That was not my opinion. I don't hold that opinion to be true. I just think that is a solid observation to say that the hobgoblins.
Okay, Jacob, I need you to interrupt Brenna so we can cut because this is almost about to be the longest episode of the Doctor Z show.
We have to beat our old record. Okay, wait.
No,
So
stop.
we've got all our recommendations. We're
Yes.
good to go. There's a sequel coming.
Part 2.
Find out next week. Adios.